because this is marking a day, a horrible day that we know is going to go on in this cove in Japan, in Taiji Cove. We're going to start to see the horrible slaughter, the disgusting slaughter of dolphins. And around the world today, we're marking this day because everyone should wake up to the brutal, cruel reality of what's happening in this small cove in Japan, because it says so much about the way we're treating the world around us and abusing the beautiful animals that we share this planet with. Wouldn't you agree? Now, we all care deeply about what happens in this one place because we know it makes a massive, big difference to the way we treat these beautiful animals around the world. This might just be one small cove in one island nation, but every year we know that thousands of dolphins will be forced into that cove by fast boats. They'll be dragged out of that water by their tails with ropes attached around them, and they'll have steel lances put down into their spinal cords to kill them in the most disgusting, horrible way that would not be acceptable in any slaughterhouse for domestic livestock anywhere in the world. Do you think in the modern day that we should allow this to happen, do you? And the Japanese government continually, year in, year out, say this is about culture, it's about protecting the rights of Japanese fishermen, it's about protecting the rights of Japanese people to eat dolphin meat. Do any of us believe that? This is not about culture, it's about cruelty, it's about ignorance, and it's about greed. Wouldn't you agree? Now, every one of those dolphins are going to be killed over the next few months. We know that most of them are valueless to those fishermen. Most people in Japan will not eat dolphin meat. It's full of heavy metals. It's bad for them. They know they're not going to want to eat it. So it ends up as dog food and fertilizer. Do any of us think that's right? No! And it's not that business. It's not killing those dolphins to end up as dog food and fertilizer that keeps this horror going. It's the global marine park and aquarium business. We know that the so-called talent scouts, the trainers of these so-called dolphins they use for entertainment, will come from around the world and arrive in Taiji Cove, and they will select the animals they want, and they will pay over £100,000 for each of those animals to then be taken away on a jumbo jet to put in a concrete prison for the rest of their lives while the rest of their family are slaughtered around them. Do any of us feel that's acceptable? No! It's disgusting, and the worst aspect of it is it's being fed into a global empire of a so-called entertainment business that is worth billions and billions of dollars, that has big corporate lawyers and PR companies telling people from Vietnam and the Philippines and Saudi Arabia and Egypt and all these places where these parks are developing and building that you should go for a nice day out by watching a dolphin do tricks, and you should never ask any questions about how that poor animal got there. Do you think that's right? No! And that's why the Dolphin Project, that's why charities like Born Free Foundation are working so hard to educate people. That's why Rick has dedicated his life to telling people the Cove was a film that brought this brutal reality to the world, and we should thank this man for all the effort and all the time that he put to making that film. But one film is not enough. That film was 9 years ago. Many people move on and forget. We've got to keep campaigning. We've got to keep fighting. And what I love about this campaign is it's you that are leading this debate again. It's individuals that care about this, that are sharing the images on social media, that are joining marches in London and cities around the world, bringing thousands of people onto the streets, that are forcing the media, forcing the politicians, forcing the businesses to look at this madness again and say enough is enough. This cruelty must stop. Don't you agree? And the worst aspect of this abuse today is that there are new ways that businesses are finding of exploiting these animals. One of the most horrific ones is a so-called birthing experience. We see these dolphins destroyed and slaughtered, their families in the most brutal, disgusting way. And one or two of them might be hauled away and end up in some place in the Florida Keys, so women with more money than sense can have babies with dolphins that have had their babies slaughtered. Do any of us think that's right? No! That is the ultimate greed, insanity and cruelty of mankind, that we have come to that. Now, we revere dolphins. They're part of our liturgy, our culture. From children to adults, these animals enchant us. But what do we do in return? We abuse them, we exploit them, we kill them, we give them no proper legal protection globally at all. And this is something that all of us must speak to our governments about. And it doesn't matter we're here in Britain or in America or anywhere in Europe. We must continue to lobby our MPs and say there must be global protection for dolphins. We must not anymore allow governments or businesses to allow these animals to be taken from their homes, stuck in prisons and exploited and abused for the rest of their lives for so-called sick entertainment. Wouldn't you agree? Yes! And this is a powerful movement. But we must keep fighting for sanity. We must keep raising our voices. We must keep telling the truth. And we don't hold back from the brutal images. We don't hold back from the horror, because the Japanese government want people to think this is not happening. They want their own people to think this is not happening. And to be honest with you, more Japanese people here in London probably get to see what's going on by looking at us marching through this city than they find on their own television screens or reading their own newspapers. And that's what we must do. We must be a voice. And what I'd also like to say is thank you to all of those individuals who go to Taiji Cove and act as individual monitors to bring to the world's attention the horror that is going on in that place. I know how traumatic that is. We're going to hear in a few moments from some of those individuals. But unless they can be the eyes and ears to the rest of the world, unless they can tell us what's going on here, we will never ever stop this. Wouldn't you agree? Yes! We are at a point in time where a new generation of people are beginning to wake up to the fact they will not make the mistakes of the past. We must be that generation that puts a stop to this. Rick, you're 77 years of age, I think. You quite rightly said, but you're not, you know, I get your age wrong. You don't want to leave this planet after all the work you've done without seeing this horror end. And I think it's an obligation to all of us in your lifetime, building on all the hard work you've done to bring this madness to an end. Wouldn't you agree? Yes! But there are challenges. Rick and me speak regularly about the fact that the big NGOs are not doing enough to save these animals. They're not doing enough in frontline wildlife protection. It's an issue that I've been involved with here, quite controversially in the last few weeks, because I campaign to protect badgers as well as dolphins. Many of you will know that there will be 10,000 badgers killed in this country over the next 6 months. A protected species that will be shot in horrible cruel conditions to keep a farming industry happy, when we know it will make no difference to a disease at all. But what I've said to those big NGOs, I wrote a book, and this book is selling very well. Many of you might have come across it. MPs and even the Prime Minister now has a copy of this and is meeting with people to talk about it. But what I say in this book is that ignorance, cruelty and greed and political economic priorities cannot get across the importance of protecting wildlife. Now, it might be badgers in this country today, but the same applies to dolphins around the world as well. And I'm calling on Friends of the Earth, I'm calling on Greenpeace and WWF and all those organisations that bring in hundreds of millions of pounds, that have millions of supporters. You cannot remain silent and allow our wildlife here in Britain to be destroyed, but also to allow dolphins to be destroyed in this horrible way in Taiji Cove. It's time to go back to your roots. It's time to go back to what set you up in the first place, when Greenpeace sent its ships to Norway to stop the killing of seals in the 1970s. They did it because people like you are on the streets. They were filling Trafalgar Square saying enough was enough. We're not going to see this brutal destruction. We want you to do something. And it's about time they went back to those days, joined us here, mobilised their thousands of supporters so that we have 10, 20, 30,000 people on the streets of this city. That we will shame the Japanese government. There is nowhere for them to hide. They will have to bring this horror to an end. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah! And I can tell you now, my next book will be about Taiji Cove. It will be called Blood on Their Hands, and it will tell all the brutal, disgusting reality of this business to the world. And it will also tell Rick's stories and your stories, because you are the heroes who are making this happen. Just like those people who are in the fields fighting for badgers now. You're in the streets fighting for dolphins. You'll be in Japan, many people in Taiji Cove, bearing witness to this horror, and we will keep fighting. Never ever let people tell you you're wrong. Never ever let people tell you you're wasting your time. You get judged by the way we treat animals in this world. If we treat each other civilly, we will not treat them disgustingly as well. It's time that we stood up and we said, enough is enough. We keep fighting. Thank you very much.